The M102 was a light-towed 105 mm howitzer used by the United States Army in the Vietnam War, the First Gulf War, and the Iraq War. Overview. The M102 105 mm howitzer is used in air mobile, helicopter, attack plane, and light infantry operations. The weapon carriage is lightweight welded aluminum, mounted on a variable recoil mechanism. The weapon is manually loaded and positioned, and can be towed by a 2-ton truck or high-mobility multipurpose wheeled vehicle, HMMWV, can be transported by A-60 Black Hawk helicopters, or can be dropped by parachute with airborne units. When emplaced, the howitzer's high volume of fire compensates in large measure for the lower explosive weight of the projectile compared to the Army's 155 mm and 8-inch howitzers. Since 1964, the Army acquired 1,150 M102 towed howitzers. The weapon is being replaced by the M119 series 105 mm howitzer. Resistance to change. Units were initially equipped with the M101A1 howitzer, virtually the same 105 mm howitzer that had been used to support U.S. forces since World War II. In 1966 a new 105 mm towed howitzer, the M102, was received in Vietnam. The first M102s were issued to the 1st Battalion, 21st Field Artillery, in March 1966. Replacement of the old howitzers continued steadily over the next 4 years. Many of the more seasoned artillerymen did not want the old cannon replaced. Over the years they had become familiar with its every detail and were confident that it would not disappoint them in the clutch. These experienced artillerymen could offer some seemingly convincing reasons why the M101 was still the superior weapon. Its waist-high breech made it easier to load, it had higher ground clearance when in tow, but most important, it was considerably less expensive than the M102. Their arguments, however, were futile. The new M102 was substantially lighter, weighing little more than 1½ tons, whereas the M101A1 weighed approximately 2½ tons. As a result, more ammunition could be carried during heli-borne operations, and a 3/4-ton truck rather than a 2½ ton truck was its prime mover for ground operations. Another major advantage of the M102 was that it could be traversed a full 6,400 miles. The M101A1 had a limited on-carriage traverse, which required its trails, stabilizing legs, to be shifted if further traverse was necessary. The M102 fires the same semi-fixed ammunition as the M101, but its longer barrel, 32 calibers versus 22 calibers on M101, allows a slightly higher muzzle velocity and thus enhanced firing range. A low silhouette made the new weapon a more difficult target for the enemy, an advantage that far outweighed the disadvantage of being somewhat less convenient to load. Design. The 105 mm howitzer M102 is a lightweight towed weapon, which has a very low silhouette when in the firing position. The M102 howitzer fires a 33 pounds, 15 kilograms, projectile of semi-fixed ammunition and at charge 7 will fire 11,500 meters. It has a muzzle velocity of 494 meters per second, 1,620 feet/s. The maximum rate of fire is 10 rounds per minute for the first 3 minutes, with a sustained rate of 3 rounds per minute. A roller tire attached to the trail assembly of the M102 permits the weapon to be rotated 6,400 mils around a firing platform, which provides the pivot for the weapon. It can be elevated from 89 mils, 5 degrees, to a maximum of 1,333 mils, 75 degrees. The panoramic telescope has a 4-power, fixed-focus optical system, with 178 mils field of view. It contains dry nitrogen gas to retard fogging and condensation. The parallax shield used during bore sighting protects the lens. The trails are made of aluminum alloy. They are a single box trail in wishbone shape, and serve 3 purposes: mobility, stability, and stowage of section equipment. The lunette is the towing pintle that allows the weapon to be connected to the vehicle. When towing, vehicle has a fixed or seized tow pintle, remove the lock plate located under the lunette. The drawbar has 2 positions, lowered for travel and raised for firing. There are 2 lifting brackets to connect slings to when the howitzer is being lifted by helicopter. A third bracket is located on front yoke. The carriage handles are used by crew members to lifting and shifting the howitzer during loading, unloading, and emplacing the howitzer. The firing platform attaches to the howitzer lower carriage by using a socket and a locking handle. The 8 holes are for the stakes needed to stake the howitzer in position. Platform stakes are issued in 3 sizes. There are 4 15 in, 38 cm, stakes issued for use in frozen or rocky terrain, and are normally issued only where needed, such as extremely cold areas. There are 8 24 in, 61 cm, stakes issued, and are used for hard-packed ground. 4 38 in, 0.97 m, stakes are issued for use in soft ground. The first production versions were displayed with a muzzle brake, most likely to allow long-range 105 mm rounds to be fired, but was discontinued before shipment to Vietnam. Current usage. While the M102 is no longer in active use by the United States Army, having been replaced by the M119, it is still in use by the National Guard. The M102 was last deployed to combat in 2004 by the 1st Battalion, 206th Field Artillery, Arkansas Army National Guard. 17 M102 howitzers were deployed to Camp Taji, Iraq. The 1-206th FA provided fire and conducted counter-fire missions in support of 39th BCT operations, an element of the 1st Cavalry Division. The 1-206th scavenged spare parts from 9 M102 howitzers that were located in the Camp Taji boneyard. These howitzers were allegedly captured by the Iraqi army during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. The M102 is also used on the United States Air Force's Lockheed AC-130 gunship. The M102 105 mm cannon was modified to be fired from the left rear side door of the AC-130. To accommodate the cannon, the rear side firing 40 mm guns were replaced by the radome that formerly had been installed in the door cavity. That change provided enough space for the 105 mm gun to be mounted in the doorway in place of the radome. The gun was first used in the later stages of the Vietnam War and is still used in the AC-130U gunship. The latest AC-130J Ghost Rider gunship was not originally planned to include the 105 mm, but designed with enough spare power and room to mount it at some later point. The Air Force decided to include it in January 2015, starting installation on the 3rd aircraft, then having the first 2 be retrofitted when guns become available. M102s will be pulled off retiring AC-130s and put into the AC-130JS. The M102 is used in extremely limited roles by the United States Marine Corps, primarily for firing salutes. The Malaysian Army used the M102 during Malaysia's Second Communist Insurgency, 1968-1988, to bombard insurgent positions on the Malaysia-Thailand border. The guns were transported by helicopter to remote firing positions. All Malaysian M102s have now been decommissioned and are only used for firing salute. Characteristics. Burr, 105 mm, 4.13 in. Length, 17.1 feet, 5.2 m. Barrel length, 32 calibers. Width, 6.4 feet, 2 m. Height, 5.2 feet, 1.6 m. Weight, 1.5 tons, 1.4 tons. Crew, 8. Rate of fire, 10 rounds per minute maximum, 3 rounds per minute sustained. Range, 11,500 m, 7.1 miles, 15,100 m, 9.4 miles, with rocket-assisted projectile. Operators. Brazil 19. El Salvador 24. Jordan 50. Malaysia 40. Oman 36. Philippines 24. Saudi Arabia 140. Turkey. United States AC-130 gunship. Uruguay 15. Former operators. Khmer Republic. South Vietnam unknown number used by the Republic of Vietnam Airborne Division. Type howitzer. Place of origin United States. Service history. In service 1964 present. Wars: Vietnam War, Invasion of Grenada, Gulf War, Iraq War. Production history. Designed 1962. Manufacturer Rock Island Arsenal. Specifications. Weight 1,496 kilograms, 3,298 pounds. Length travel, 5.18 m, 20 feet. Barrel length 32 calibers. Width travel, 1.96 m, 6 feet 5 in. Height travel, 1.59 m, 5 feet 3 in. Crew 8. Shell 105 x 372 R. Caliber 105 mm, 4.1 in. Action vertical sliding wedge. Recoil hydropneumatic. Carriage box trail. Elevation 5 degree to plus 75 degree. Traverse 360 degrees. Rate of fire maximum, 10 rpm. Normal, 3 rpm. Effective firing range 11.5 kilometers, 7.1 miles. Maximum firing range 15.1 kilometers, 9.4 miles, with rocket-assisted projectile.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.